So on March 4th, we got the 2-episode premiere for Daredevil Born Again, and I will now be reviewing the first 2 episodes of this fantastic show. So let's get into it. So the first major thing that happens in episode 1 is the death of Foggy Nelson. Now, his death is caused when he is shot in the chest by none other than Ben Poindexter, Bullseye, in his questionable attire, specifically a dark blue spandex that goes over his face with a brown strap to hold his gun in. And honestly, that suit choice is kind of good. I do like it, but I feel like it could be better, and hopefully it does become better, because we're definitely going to see Poindexter again. But back to talking about the death of Foggy, yeah, that was just so shocking and so unexpected, I feel, because it happened like literally 8 minutes into the episode, so you expect to be catching up with these characters, see what they're up to for the years ever since season 3's ending, but no, they just throw you right into the action, right into the devastation, and kill off Foggy. But good story with that, you know, because this gives us a chance to see not only a fight scene between Daredevil and Bullseye, but also a great suit reveal for Daredevil, which his suit looks phenomenal. It is really awesome, and the bright red really is cool. And their fight scene is phenomenal. The execution of it is great, and the technique of both fighters is definitely showing throughout their entire fight. And honestly, the suspense in all of this in these first 11 minutes of the episode was amazing and so well done and so well executed, because all while you're seeing Dex and Matt fight, you could hear Foggy's heartbeat just decrease, and eventually it stops completely, causing Matt to go crazy and just start throwing punches wildly at Poindexter and then throw him off a building, which somehow he survives. I assume it because of the surgery he received for his back at the end of season 3 of Daredevil, but yeah, that's crazy enough. And yeah, that was basically our crazy intro and beginning scene for the show, and that really definitely set the tone for what to expect with this series. So now I want to talk about the next major thing that happens in episode 1, and that thing is the interaction between Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock. And they meet up in a diner where they talk about just life, how they're not a vigilante, how they're not a mob boss anymore, how they've completely stopped doing what they did. And the reason Daredevil said that he stopped being Daredevil was because a line was crossed. And he actually said this line in the trailer as well, but now we know what that line was: the death of Foggy Nelson. But also now we learn that Kingpin is not really Kingpin at all anymore either, and is like matured up and is now running for mayor of New York. And just this entire sequence is really awesome, really well done, and I think is one of the most suspenseful scenes in this 2-episode premiere. It was really suspenseful, because you know, like, the backgrounds of both of these characters and their history with one another. And honestly, if they were to see each other in public any other time, they would rip each other apart. But this time they're trying to act civil, because both of them are not what they used to be, you know, not a villain and not a hero anymore. So it was overall just a really well written and well done and well acted scene. So now I want to talk about the courtroom scene that happens in episode 1. The courtroom scene is when Ben Poindexter gets his sentencing after not only the death of Foggy Nelson, but also other counts of murder. So honestly, this scene was very emotional, because he's talking about, now my best friend's dead, it doesn't really matter anymore, nothing matters, and honestly, the only relief I'll get is knowing that this monster is in prison or dead. And he does get life in prison, but he does not get put on the death penalty, which makes Matt reasonably angry. But yeah, that's basically the court scene, and the last time we see Dex for the rest of this 2-episode premiere. So the last major thing that happens in episode 1 is Wilson Fisk becoming mayor. Now honestly, we all thought that it was definitely gonna happen. It was inevitable, because the trailers just basically said he's becoming mayor, and honestly, it was a matter of when they do it, not how they do it. If they're gonna do it, how, like, when they do it, you know. And in episode 1, that's the answer. They did it right off the bat, and I do appreciate that, because now episode 2 we could kind of see what he's doing, how he's running things, and we do get to see that. So let's get into episode 2. So the first major thing that happens in episode 2 is we get to see White Tiger take on these 2 just random undercover cops. But of course, White Tiger is not in his attire, because he is a vigilante. He's basically the new Daredevil ever since Daredevil just disappeared, because somebody needs to protect Hell's Kitchen or New York. So with that being said, basically the entire episode is Matt trying to defend the White Tiger and make sure that nobody tries to kill him, you know. But we know White Tiger to have similar capabilities of that of Black Panther, so I cannot wait to see how we see him in action eventually. eventually, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll see a fight between him and Daredevil, but we'll see how that turns out. So the next major thing that actually happens in episode 2 of Daredevil Born Again is we get the reveal that the reporter that is talking with Wilson Fisk in the mayor's office is actually related to Ben Urich, and this guy just plays it off as, oh, I totally didn't kill Ben Urich. No, he was a good reporter, you know? And that made me so furious. I'm like, you literally strangled. You were the last thing he saw before he died. And you're like, oh, he was a great reporter. Yeah, good at exposing your stupid ass. But like, yeah, I start to get angry. Ben Urich was such a good character. But yeah, seeing a relative family member to Ben Urich was actually very clever and very creative, and I do hope we get to see her character again and again and kind of have a recurring role in Daredevil Born Again. But yeah, that was just so major, because when they connect the dots like that, like have family members to past characters, I love when they do that, and I hope that they continue to do that. Maybe bring in some family members of Foggy Nelson, you know, to kind of fill in Foggy's spot, but we'll see. So the last major thing that happens in Daredevil Born Again just entirely for the 2-episode premiere is the fight that we get with Matt Murdock and just a bunch of random undercover cops who intended on killing the White Tiger because of what he did to their fellow friend. But yeah, that fight scene was very, very intense, very gory, and you could just tell Matt didn't want to do this because possibly he was afraid that if he did it, he'd get that spark in again to be like, I need to put back on the suit and be Daredevil again. But still highly likely that could happen, but if it does, great. If it doesn't, sad, but at least we got this epic fight scene. Literally, there's a scene where he breaks a guy's arm and you could see the blood just seep through his long sleeve shirt, and that was just a badass shot. But yeah, that fight scene was really, really entertaining and something I've been waiting for during this 2-episode premiere, because the only time we got to see Matt in action the other time was at the very beginning of episode 1 when he fought Poindexter. So it was very, very nice for them to keep Matt in the action and have him have a fight scene at the end of episode 2. So really, really good stuff there. So here are my final thoughts on the 2-episode premiere for Daredevil Born Again. Honestly, these first 2 episodes, like I said, are not really action-packed. They're more story-driven, but sometimes in shows, the story is bad and the action is the thing that saves it, and when there's no action, the show is just bad. In this case, that is not the deal at all. The story is perfect. There's nothing wrong at all with the story. The title card sequence, oh my god, I didn't even mention that. But yeah, the title card sequence is actually really, really good. Not as good as it was in Daredevil season 1 through 3, but it is still very good, and it's standalone on its own. Fantastic. And yeah, I'm just really happy with the 2 episodes that we got of Daredevil Born Again, and I cannot wait to see how they continue this story, continue on with these characters. I cannot wait to see John Bernthal as the Punisher return. I cannot wait to see where they go with Ben Poindexter's story. I cannot wait to see where they go with the relationship between Matt and Karen and their grief for the death of their friend Foggy. I just cannot wait to see how this story continues. But yeah, overall, these 2 episodes were masterpieces, back-to-back masterpieces. But this is where I end the video. Take care, guys.